The new season is upon us, and that means that we can play the three-word game, a game where we are going to look at the 16 teams in the PSL and try to define our expectations for them using just 3 words. If you want more of this content, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And then, of course, we're going to be doing this in order of how they finished last season, of course, adding the new guys at the bottom. But that means that Kaizer Chiefs fans, you're going to be a little bit closer than Orlando Pirates and Sundowns. Let's hope it changes this season. Let's get straight into it. Just stay up. That is all Orbit College have to focus on. You don't need to do anything else. Use your munna pulesile musaleng. Use that little bit of fire that you have after being promoted through the playoffs. Use those things in order for you to just make it out. You just need to be number 14. That is all they need to focus on. With that being said, I think that Orbit College is going to finish in the bottom half, maybe even in the bottom quarter. The bottom 4 teams this season. It's not because of them, it's because they haven't really changed too much in their setup, and we know how those teams tend to struggle when they get promoted, especially with the pace, with the expectations of the PSL. So I think they're going to finish in the bottom 4. It's the same old script. Durban City, remember, is a storied club in South African football, having been Maritzburg United before. Now they've fought their way back into the top, but they've done something that I tend to sometimes agree with and sometimes don't, but in this case I don't. They've brought in Coach Gavin Hunt as the head coach, and then they've also brought in Coach Ernst Middendorp as the technical director. Now, on the face of it, this is a great move because you've got one of the most experienced coaches in the league, as well as someone who's regarded as one of the best minds in South African football, in and around South African football, coming together. But the problem is, Ernst Middendorp comes from Cape Town Spurs getting relegated twice. And then, of course, you have Coach Gavin Hunt, who wasn't doing very well towards the end of the season. Now, it's not to say that these coaches can't do anything, but my worry is that Durban City hasn't really changed anything personnel-wise. So that means that we're putting Coach Gavin Hunt back into the situation where he has to be the guy, the anchor, or the force that pulls the team forward while not having the right resources. He said it himself in the Betway press conference, the Betway Prem press conference, where he said you're only as good as his players, already starting to complain. But I do have faith that he can maybe pull one last trick or two in order to make sure that Durban City does not go down. And of course, the structure and the history that team has in the league has to count for something. So Durban City, I think they are going to finish also in the bottom 4, in the bottom quarter of the league. But let's see how that pans out. Siwelele FC is in such an interesting place because they're the only team where them being there means much more than the points, the goals, much more than the draws, the wins, the losses, much more than Stan Matthews, than Lihlonola Siem as the head coach, one of my favorite coaches. This is about bringing football back to one of the most loving football centers in the country. People that have been starved of football and have been made promises by other teams that have come in and left, or come in halfway through, half in, and really hurt Abobota and those fans from Go Mangau. So I think this is a chance for Siwelele to do something now. Like I said, Coach Siema is one of my favorite coaches, and Coach Stan Matthews is an executive that has a lot of experience in the league. So I'm expecting them to at the very least come out and be in and around the 10th spot with what Siema brings to the table and with what Stan Matthews brings to the table. But this is a season, honestly, just to make sure that we can make Bloemfontein happy again. And I'm happy for them to come back in. Hopefully, this is going to be a long road and not just another promise. A chance to reset. Magesi had an incredible season last season. And this is what was interesting. They started off the season with Hendrik Larsen, who got them promoted. Hendrik Larsen goes and wins the Carling knockout. Of all of the trophies, he wins the Carling knockout, right? Something that wasn't expected from them. But then they're still out here fighting relegation because, of course, the pressure, the energy you exert to try and win those trophies is quite a bit. They get rid of him, bring in Owen Dagama, who goes on an incredible run to make that team 10th. He's no longer there. So now you sit back and you go, look, this is a chance for you to do something new. Now, John Maduka, I don't think is somebody who's going to come in and blaze a trail. But if you speak about stability coaches in the league, John Maduka is one of the biggest stability coaches. So while Magesi finds itself after Hendrik Larsson and ODG, I think it's an okay thing to bring in John Maduka. My only reservation is that once you've won a trophy, this should be what shows you that the team can be bigger than what we are trying to make it. About Chippa can be players that are incredible. But if you're not going to fund that team properly, you're just going to end up being another mid-table team in the league. I see them finishing also around the number 10 mark. Experience must count. Now, you may think that I'm talking about Coach Manqoba Mngqithi. You might think that I'm talking about him when I say experience and what he's gone through and what he brings to the table. That's one side of it. But Golden Arrows now becomes, if I'm not mistaken, the third longest tenured team in the PSL after Supersport have fallen out. So that means that it's Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, or actually fourth. Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, and Golden Arrows that have been the longest in the league now that we've lost is Supersport. So now is the time for Mamatu and her family and the club to really take this seriously. Leverage the decades of experience that Golden Arrows has. There's so many players that have gone through there. Leverage that. Leverage having Coach Manqoba, back him with the resources. Do what needs to be done in order to make sure that the experience that you have is not just experience that we're going to hold on and relive the good days and do our podcasts and do all of those things, but that it actually counts towards them winning. I see Golden Arrows finishing, I'd say, between 9 and 13. Build proper foundations. We have been promised so much by Chippa United. We have been promised that we're going to get a revolution under Coach Kanu, a revolution under Coach Clay, a revolution under Coach Pound for Pound, Morgan Mamila. We were promised a revolution under Kwanele Kopo and Thabo September. But all we've gotten was changes upon changes upon changes. Now this season in steps Coach Padela and also Snesipo Mali, who is one of the brightest minds in South African football, as well as Padela having been with Coach Rulani. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to burn the house down. I'm not saying that they're going to do well. All I'm saying is that can we be serious and say that if we're picking these guys, these are the guys we're going to go forward with from now on. These are the guys that we're going to be pushing from now on. These are the guys that are going to make sure that Chippa United 5 years from now is a very good team. And that means that you have to be serious and back them. Now for this season, I think they're going to do well. I think this is a top 8 team. Should Coach Padela and should Technical Director Mali get their way. So let's see if they can back that. Don't call Dan. Don't call Dan. Lose Dan's number. Because it's that safety net that has made sure that Marumo Gallants stays exactly where they are. If you're going out and you're bringing in foreign coaches, can you make sure that you're not doing this just to say that in the KPI you've ticked and you've said that this foreign coach, we recruited overseas, therefore we were serious. We want to see it in the results. So when I say don't coach dance, I'm saying don't go back to a culture where you are up and down and changing and not doing what needs to be done in order to make sure that this Marumo Gallants team can be successful. You need to come up with an identity, a proper identity, a long-lasting identity that you can play, that we know what Marumo Gallants is. And every time you get right to the door, you go and change the keys. So I want to see Gallants do well. Now, that being said, I think Gallants is going to finish in and around the 11th spot for me. Serve the food. Hey, cookie. Hey, it's cookie. Cooking. This season is about results at Chiefs. This season is about seeing the plate and seeing the progression and seeing what's happening. And this season is not going to be predicated on what Coach Nebi needs and wants. It's going to be predicated on the results. We don't care what microwave I say beans. We don't care what stove. The stove man's chiga gutre. This season is about giving Kaizer Chiefs fans something. Now, Chiefs did very well to win the Nedbank Cup last season in order to temper the expectation, to temper some of the anger that might have been felt, especially if we're going to go into a decade without a trophy, right? But I think that now Coach Nebi has come in. He should be able to look at his team and say, you know what, at the very least, we need to go out and fight. It's not going to be a tactical battle. Chiefs is not in a place where they're going to be fighting tactics. They're going to have to fight and graft against the teams that are in and around them. Their peers are not Mamelodi Sundowns and Pirates. Their peers, Abu Richards Bay. Their peers, Abu Amazulu. Those are the teams that you need to grind against. And a lot of those games are not going to look pretty. But if the points are deposited, then you can earn your right. Another thing that's going to be great for Chiefs next season is going into the CAF Confed, where you'll be able to play a little bit of African football, and maybe Coach Nabi can find himself in environments that he's used to, having come from Boyanga and those places where he was coaching at that level. So maybe while you can take a break from the dogfight and you can come in and play some of the football that you want to do in Africa. Coach Gavin Hunt is somebody that said that it tends to be a little bit easier for our teams. Not that they win, but it's a little bit easier. Look at Stellenbosch reaching the semi-finals. Look at Marumo Gallants reaching the semi-finals, I believe it was. Look at what Chiefs did, what Pirates did last season, and what Sundowns ultimately did in the Champions League. So hopefully the food is ready. Hopefully can be delivered. Hopefully our number is on the screen and we can go fetch it. I think Chiefs should finish around 6 or 7 this season. Find an identity. Richards Bay is one of those teams that goes under the radar quite a bit, and I think it's on purpose. They've been making a lot of noise about Dabo Rulani. They've been making a lot of noise about a lot of people, or coaches or options, especially after getting that sponsorship money. And I think they realize that there is a value in keeping quiet. But don't just keep quiet for the sake of keeping quiet. They've lost players like Abom Butuma who've gone out, and I think it's going to be a season where they need to figure out how they're going to play and maybe make the system count more than the players. Richards Bay, of course, is a team that has been in the league quite a bit, is a team that has been really good. I mean, they did finish in the top 8 last season, so there shouldn't be anything stopping them. But I do feel as though there might be a slight dip, and this might just be the ebb and flow. We should place them Libona around the 9th or 10th position, I believe. Team above Apolis. Similar to Richards Bay, Polokwane City has lost their lead player, the guy that everybody wanted to do well. But while everybody's complaining or everybody's saying that it might be a dip, I think this is a chance. Coach Pitso Mosimane is one of my favorite coaches, and now it's a time for him to coach without the spotlight. Part of what I didn't like last season was that he was talking a lot more. He was being brash a lot more. He was bringing a lot of attention towards him. Whereas I think similar to Richards Bay, you need to come in and keep a low profile, work in the darkness. And with Apolis having left, I think he's going to be able to work a little bit in the darkness. And I think that's going to be a good thing for Polokwane City. Polokwane City is a team that should be climbing. But because of poor investment, because of poor backing of the coaches, it hurts them a bit. And I think Coach Puti is becoming another stability coach, which is why I think Polokwane City will still be a top 8 team. But I think they're going to finish exactly where they were last season. It's a time to rise. Tate Zungu is one of the more vocal owners. Tate Zungu is one of the owners that tends to back their managers relatively. He's a very confident owner. But we want to see that confidence displayed on the pitch. We want to see Amazulu come out and now take the next step. Remember, this is a team that a few years ago, when Benny was still here, was a number 2 team in the league. It was a team that was playing African football. And now I think Atazwane having now gotten his contract, having now gotten a preseason, I think he's got some time now to actually build. And Arthur Zwane is not a coach that struggles a lot in the league. I mean, he is responsible for Chiefs' last highest finish. I believe it was 5th. So I think he's got it in him to take those players and take them to another place. Incredible game we watched this weekend where they were unlucky to lose. But I think the intent is there and the opportunity is there for them to do something good. So I would love to see AmaZulu taking one step higher and finishing number 5. Can youth win? Abo Sibilibili have left TS Galaxy. Abo Zajmovic have left the TS Galaxy, which means that Abo Pusa Ditejane are going to have to step up into spaces where they need to be leaders. That is a very tough thing to do with a young team. Coach Bagarovic has shown that he's a coach that can actually coach. He's a coach that actually maybe understands South African football, and he stepped in very well into the shoes left by Sid Ramovic last season. Now, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them, I think. I think they're going to have to try and do something proper here, which is going to be a little bit tough with a younger team. But I still believe that TS Galaxy is still a good enough team for them to be in and around the 4th, 5th, 6th spot. I think they're still good enough to stay up there, owing to the fact that a lot of the teams are not going to improve. But TS Galaxy, Tim Sugazi is another owner who has to look at that team and start taking it seriously, start investing seriously. You can't keep wanting the coach to use youth and make things happen that way. You have to back them, because we'd love to see Abu TS Galaxy doing well. We'd love to see Abu TS Galaxy developing Abu Pusa Ditejane very well with some players around them that can help elevate kids, that understand the youth, that understand mentorship. But for me, that is where TS Galaxy is going to end up. Use your experience. Yes, it's not Sundowns, it's not Pirates. But when you look at Abo Linda Mtambo and you look at Abo Miguel Team, you know, and you look at Abo Bradley Grobler and you look at Abo Keletso Maghalwa, that team is a very good team. And it's a very good team propped up by very great veterans, which is great, Abo Munare bakhona, which means that is a team that I expect to be a more grown-up, mature team. I expect Coach Tinkler not to struggle too much with some of those players. And I expect this Sekhukhune team to overtake Stellies. I'd love this Sekhukhune team to be number 3 because they've got the players to do it. Now it's just about putting it together. Coach Tinkler has to show that Cape Town City, the blemish that he has from Cape Town City in his last season is not something that is going to follow him, and that he's still the coach that we know and love, that has won an MTN 8, for example, before. So this Sekhukhune team gives him a chance to do it. I love the foundation that was laid by Abo Coach Siema, Coachana, Abo McDonald, those guys. I love how they've laid the foundation. Would have loved to see Siema take it forward, but it's fine. Eric Tinkler can come in and he's handy with it. We saw it at Orlando Pirates. So hopefully he can take this really experienced team and push them all the way up to a number 3, and maybe even challenge in Africa. Abo team bakhona, Abo Mtambo bakhona. They're used to some of these high profile things. Use them well. Use the experience. Countdown has begun. Stellenbosch is one of our best teams in the league. Stellenbosch, I've always said, is sitting right on the edge of being great. But if you see from last season and season before, when they finished 3rd to allow Pirates through, they messed it up for themselves. Now, come to this season, last season, I think Stellenbosch was wonky a little bit at times, but they were able to still finish 3rd as being the 3rd best team in the country, right? Being better than the other ones that are the other 13 below them. But you cannot keep losing Abo Reyners. You cannot keep losing Abo Pasadine. You cannot keep losing Abo Van Rooyen. You cannot keep losing Abo Reyners. You cannot keep losing Abo Dupris, Abo Mteto. You cannot keep losing Abo Nduli, Abo Van Veek. You cannot keep losing these players and hope that you can stay. Now, I don't predict a huge drop from Stellenbosch. I think Sanele Barnes has shown that he can step in. We still have Umujela who's going to come back. My favorite number 10 in the league, De Jong, is still there. Sage Stevens, Bafana keeper, is also there. You can't write them off. But I can't help but start feel that supersport feeling, to start feel that Cape Town City feeling where Coach Barker's incredible miracles can only miracle for so long. And hopefully, as part of the long-term planning for that team, they're going to back him. That is the team that can back. That is the team that can develop. If you can merge those things together, you can have one. But I think they're going to drop one to 4. Prove us right. We all believe that Orlando Pirates is a talented team. We all believe that Orlando Pirates on paper, Abombule, Abomfukeng, hey, Abo Bodlela, Abombogazi, and all of the people that they've brought in now. You look at that team, Abonduli, and you think, yes. But this is the time to prove us right. Because in the league, they haven't been able to get over those humps. Guys, Pirates, I will say this over and over and over again. Orlando Pirates is the most dangerous team in the league. Orlando Pirates can change a game like this and hit you with 4 or 5. The problem is they can't stay in games all the way. And it's the games that undo you are not losing to Sundowns. The games that undo you are Wednesday at Chippa. Gunimvula, it's cold. Can you pull out a win there? And I think it's a great compliment that Pirates doesn't get outplayed when they lose. But now it's up to them to show us that here, they've grown here. If well and truly we are in year 4 of a 5-year plan, we need to make sure that year 4 then is a move forward. Coach Wadu has shown that he's a great tactician. Some of the structure, some of the movement that Pirates showed in that MTN8 game is great. And they've got the squad, they've got the squad to really do damage. So Pirates, prove us right. I still believe they're going to be number 2, but hopefully they'll close the gap and make Sundowns sweat. Lead the ship. You know, Coach Cardoso is a very interesting coach. And the situation that Coach Cardoso finds himself in is a very interesting situation. Coach Cardoso is a coach that is the first non-South African coach since Pitso to take over this team. He's the first coach that doesn't come from the Coach Pitso tree to take over. And he's got a huge burden on his shoulders to be the guy that steers Sundowns the right way. And he has steered Sundowns the right way. But the waters were calm. Already we're hearing rumors of Motaung, of Shalulile, of Ribeiro allegedly wanting to leave and maybe staging some sort of strike or mutiny in order to get their way. So already this season, he's stepped into a place that's a little bit different to what he had been in previously. But this is where now you earn your stripes. When the water is rocky, when the ship is doing this hanyani, a good captain keeps that ship on course. And I don't doubt that Coach Miguel Cardoso can do that because the numbers that he got last season are incredible. He just has the Champions League looming over him. So I think that is a little bit of the pressure that's going to come onto him. But let's be honest, that team is still incredible. That team still has goal scorers. This past weekend, we watched them walk a 4-0 where they didn't look convincing for half of that game. That is an insane team, and that is why I'm still tipping them to be number 1. I still think they're going to waltz past a lot of teams. They're going to beat them by 1-2-0. They're going to continue on being the machine that Mamelodi Sundowns is. The biggest compliment you can give to Mamelodi Sundowns is that come TS Galaxy, come Pirates, come Magesi, come rain, come shine, come wet pitch, come dry pitch, come last minute move to Atteridgeville, come Loftus, come FNB. Every game is taken seriously and every game is played to win. And they do that at a rate that very few teams do in Africa. So I'm expecting a lot from Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't think they'll hit the heights that they did last season, but I do predict a win. What do you guys think about this whole 3-word game that we played? And what are some of the words that you would use to describe these seasons? Tell me in the comments what you're thinking. Tell me your 3 words. And then, of course, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so that we can grow this platform and have more conversations and bigger conversations and nicer conversations with really cool things. I don't use the money just for just. I fixed my laptop, I upgraded the sound so that we don't have the problems we had previously. And I'm working always to make sure that I bring you the best content that I can. So please, if you can support, please support. There's an account number there in the comments. There in the description. If you can contribute anything, 20 rand, 10 rand, 50 rand, 15,000, if you can. It is all welcome. And it's all to make this South African football a lot better. I love South African football. I don't even cover the other stuff, but I love South African football. So please come on along with this journey and support. If you can't give anything, give the video to everybody. Share it, like it, all of that. We have a tendency to not share the things we enjoy, share the things that are critical, share the things that maybe want to grow the football, but we love to share the drama. Let's share these videos and content creators like myself as much as possible too. Guys, it's been great. I'll see you on the next one.